So let's increase the complexity of this template for each. So instead of having the integer value, I will be not having integer array. I'll be having array of an object. Okay. So now if you remember object, let me rewind. So object looks like something this. So if you remember, with curly braces, array starts with square braces. Okay. So how do we write an object? With the help of key value pairs. So this is my key and this is my value. Just give me a second. So we were discussing about object. So object is a collection of key value pairs. So the left hand side towards the colon is key, and this one is value. So we can have multiple key value pairs inside an object. Let's say age, uh, 29. Okay, and let's say gender, that is male. Okay. So inverted commas on the left hand side is not mandatory. I mean, you can put or you can skip it in the keys, but for the values, it is mandatory. If because only then we will identify that if it is a string or an integer. Okay. So this was my object.
But why
And
for name you give double quotes and gender single quotes?
it is also optional. I mean, both will work.
Mhm.
JavaScript is flexible language.
Mhm.
This was object. Now, if I'll say array of an object, so array looks like something like this. Okay, that means it will have multiple objects inside it. So let's say this is the first object. Similarly, we can have multiple objects. So let's create array of objects. So now this will be called array of objects because it is holding multiple objects within it. Okay, so I'll copy this example and I'll paste it here. So we have to write comma after every key value pair that was missing. So now the task is I want to bind it. Okay. And what I want is that upon a click of a button. So for button, if you remember, lightning button we have learned.
Mhm.
I'll remove this part for now. So I'll create a button. So this is a button, and what I want is upon the click of this button, it should display me the data. Okay. So what I will do, for button handling, we use event, which event on click. Okay. So on click, I'll assign a handler to it. Handle click. Okay. And what I will do, I will define that handler here, handle click. Whenever the button will be clicked, this button will be clicked, on click event will get triggered. It will pass the control to handle click, and whatever is written inside handle click, it will be visible. So I will do, after initializing this, let me create a new property, array to display. So I will assign this array to display. How can I access array to display inside my handle click? You remember?
Array, I don't know. Usually we give event.
Event we give when we have to bring some data from HTML to JavaScript. Okay, but this time we don't want to bring any data. We just want to click.
Okay.
So
Right.
if I want to access array to display inside my handle click, I have to use this keyword.
Oh, that one. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I will be assigning this array to display what this array one. And how will I access array one? Again using this dot array. Because whenever I have to reuse any property, I have to reuse it along with this keyword. Okay. So this will only happen when I will click the button. So this array will be finally, we can take it from here and we can include in our template for loop, with what we have learned in the last example. So which directive we have to use for assigning the array? For each. Okay. For each will accept the entire array part. What is the array name? Array to display. Okay, I'll copy this name. I'll assign it here. And second directive which we have to use for template for loop is for item. In this, I have to just initialize my dummy variable. Okay. Now I can print the entire thing. So let's say I want to display the name only. Okay, I want to display the name. So how I will do? So entire this array is getting passed to my this template for loop. What I will do? I'll give a paragraph and I'll say so. Now what will happen? This let's take this. So one element at a time will come there into I. Okay, this array to display is holding all the elements. 1, 2, 3. It has 3 elements. This array has 3 elements. So what will for loop do? It will pick one element at a time. For the first time, it will pick up this. Okay, and we want to display the name. So name out of this can be accessed how? With the help of array name. Sorry, object name. Object name is what? Array to display. So I'll write array to display dot name. So remember, when let's say if I want to access if this is a single object available to me and I want to access this value, how do I do? Object name dot the key value for that. So that is name. If I will put it inside my console.log, comma was missing. So in that case, it will print the value for that. Similarly, here also, since array to display is holding all these 3 objects, correct? So this for item I, this will pick first element from that object, from that array. So first element from that array is what? This entire object. And how can we access this value, the name value for that, using the object name dot this key. So that is what I am doing. I'm picking the first element, not this. First element is inside I. You're getting it? What we are storing inside I?
Yeah.
So the first element from this array. So first element is what? This one.
I.
Okay. So this part is now inside I, and I want the name value for it. So I will write I dot name. Okay. So any mistake you see here, which will cause an issue. If I'll save it, it will say me missing key. Key is a mandatory thing in templates. Okay. So I have to write the key value here. Now I have to fetch the unique value from all these three. So though in our case, both name and age seems to be unique because only gender is repeating. So usually we have IDs here or some unique name. So we pick that thing, but we can, let's say we can pick name again because name is looking unique to us. So in key also, I will pass the name because that is unique. So I'll save it. So when I will click this, it is displaying me the three names. Do you want me to go through it again?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So first of all, we have our button with us. Okay. Button tag we have already seen, lightning button. Attribute for that is label, with the help of which we are able to display this label. Then we want to display the data on click of this button. So that means some event we have to bring into picture. Okay. So what event we know about buttons? On click. Okay. We will assign a method to it, which we will define inside JavaScript. Okay. So once we click on this button, the flow goes to on click first because that is the event. And on click, we have assigned handle click to it. That is the method inside JavaScript. Okay. So what we will do, we are creating a new property array to display, and we are assigning this existing array to it only when the button is getting clicked. Otherwise, it was showing nothing because array to display we are ultimately binding inside our template for each. Okay. So before clicking the button, we won't have any data here. Now, once the data button is clicked and the flow moves from this direction to this direction and reaches here, this existing array is assigned to array to display. Now we know how we can print each value in new line using template for loop. Okay. So template for loop, we have to create a template tag and enter template tag. It accepts two different attributes, or we usually say them as directives. Okay. So that is what first one is for each directive. Second one is for item directive. Okay. For each accepts what? It accepts the entire array, which we have to, from which we have to display the data. So entire array was array to display. So we have binded it here. Next directive is for item. What it does, it picks one element at a time from this array, and we usually assign a dummy variable here, which will store that complete element from that array. So I is the dummy variable we have created. What it will do, it will pick first element first. So I holds this complete object now. We want to display only the name. So I have written a paragraph tag and I am displaying the name out of it using I.name. Okay. Similarly, if we want all the ages or all the genders, we can do that. So, but the mandatory thing in template for loops is key. Key should be the unique element from that entire object. So in our case, uniqueness is maintained with the help of name only. Usually we have IDs in this case when we will work with Apex and Salesforce data. So, but here name is unique, so we will be having name. We are fetching the name value from the I dummy variable, which is holding the object. So that's how when we are clicking the button, it is going first towards the JavaScript It is pasting the data in array to display and ultimately getting data binded here. Okay.